Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we're reacting to the Scottish Open. Shout out to the Tartan Army if you're watching. Let's go, Scotland. Oh, flower of Scotland. This video is sent to me by Whiplash, who says Scottish Open is one of the most special golf tournaments in the world with so much history, and it's extra special to have a Norwegian playing at the same time as the World Cup. We miss the Tartan Army, but they will row for Viktor Hovland. This is probably the best interview ever in sports. Heia Norge. Thank you, Scotland. Let's check it out, guys.
Victor, can I throw the football question in early? Just wondered how closely you've been following the World Cup. I mean, your win seemed to spark a golden spell for Norwegian sport. How closely are you following it, and what do you think the results can be on the weekend?
Yeah, I'm taking all the credit, that's for sure. No, I've obviously been watching the Norway games. I'm not a big football fan in general. I don't really keep up. I don't know any of the players, but obviously it's pretty patriotic to watch. And when I was at home last game, you can just, because I have an apartment that's pretty close to the city, and just like sitting on the veranda watching the game, and you can just hear the screams from downtown. Like there's 100,000 people in the city just cheering and rooting for Norway. So it's really cool to see that energy, and you really feel it. So just to be a part of that is culturally just really cool. I think Norway really needed something like this to happen. So
it transcends football. It is a proud moment for Norway, for a country with a 5 million population come together, set records, and it's just absolutely amazing to see how Norway came together, made the biggest trend of the World Cup. It was bigger than the Oranje, bigger than the Tartan Army, bigger than any other fans. It was the biggest trend, and it came out of Norway. It came out of nowhere, honestly. Did not expect it to go so viral as it did.
That's really cool to be a part of, and I'm going to watch the next game, that's for sure. But I'm in no position to give any sort of prediction, but I really hope our country wins for sure.
And what about the Viking boat celebration? Is that something you've been enjoying?
I've done some rowing, yeah. I think you definitely, every Norwegian has to do at least a few rows out there. So no, it's pretty cool. It's it's a cool thing that is really taken over the internet and gone viral.
Just one more thing on that. Do you expect a bit of banter with the English guys before the weekend?
Of
yeah,
course,
we'll see. I feel
always.
like it's a very sensitive subject for him, so he might cut a little too deep there if I push too hard. But yeah, I hope they lose and come crying out on Sunday morning.
Doug.
Way to go, Victor.
He's a fun guy. Fun
when you
sport.
go back to finding, and for someone who's constantly searching to get better, what would you consider the longest stretch where you felt you were on the right track? How long did it last?
Like over the last few years?
Coming out of college, if you want to go that far back.
What's that?
Coming out of college, if you want to go that far back.
I mean, I've had a very unique, maybe it's not that unique, but at least my trajectory has been ever since I started to get serious into golf, I've improved every single year that I've played. Basically up until we're culminated in 2023. Like I got better every single year, and that's when I just took a couple of wrong turns, and that curve went the opposite direction. And in that time frame since then, I've had periods where I go down a path, I think that's the right track, might take 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, and then I realize, okay, that's not the right track, I have to try over here, and then, okay, that hasn't worked. So that's been the most frustrating part of my career, is that normally everything I try to do has made me a better player, and then
it's like a slingshot. I've always heard that sometimes you need to go back a step so that you can thrive. So sometimes you go down a wrong path so that you can find what the right one is. Because sometimes when you're in the right path, you become comfortable and maybe the path doesn't lead anywhere. You're just going, just going. But once you find that you need to revamp and reanalyze, then you can reach a higher path, a bigger path. It's interesting because sometimes when everything is going well, we're okay with it. But maybe we are destined for greatness. So sometimes we need to sit and analyze our situation, even though it's good, it could be better, right? That's interesting.
And the last couple of years, seemingly almost every turn I take, it hasn't led to any results. But within that time, it's like I might feel good for 1 or 2 days. It doesn't have to be perfect now, but I think if I keep doing this, it'll eventually turn out to something. And then something happens and I change course. So that's been the frustrating part. But I do feel like now the last couple months, I've really worked on, you know, some general things that are not super complicated, but are good steps in the right direction for me. And I'm really reaping the benefits of it now, even though it's not maybe exactly where I want it to be. I'm at least, you know, a good bit on the way there.
No, you
Let's take Norway national football team for as an example. They were 28 years working on making themselves better and improving, and look what they have achieved 28 years after joining the World Cup for the last time. And now look at what they're doing. Isn't that crazy?
turns in the immediate future.
No, I feel like I'm definitely have my sight in the right direction. And you might make tweaks here and there. You're always going to have to course correct a little bit or just adjust the direction, but no U-turns. If you're not doing U-turns, you're in a good spot.
And you spoke a couple of weeks ago about not being too caught up in results. You had a nice one last time you played. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's easy to say not get caught up in the results, but when you're right there and have a chance to win, you want to win. And I think that was really satisfying for me because I haven't been in that position in a long time. Obviously, having to play Saturday and Sunday in the last group with Scottie, #1 player in the world, and come out on top after not having been in that position for a couple of years, pretty satisfying. So
that is awesome.
I care about the results, but at the end of the day, if I can hit the shots and I play to the ability that I know I can play on in my practice, I'm going to feel good in the tournament, and I know the results are going to come from that.
Okay, Craig.
Hi, Victor.
How is he very well spoken? Like, he's very well spoken. And I think this is something that his mentality shows, that he has spent a lot of time tweaking and learning, and he knows exactly, that's why he has all the answers. He knows exactly where he wants to go. He knows exactly what he's doing to get there.
Victor, it's fascinating to watch your sort of striving for perfection all the time. How many weeks of the year do you think you're actually happy with yourself?
I mean, there aren't many weeks that I've had in my career where I go, okay, I'm really playing nicely. It's really hard to win golf tournaments, and you know, you might have one really good round of golf, and then the next time you might have an okay one, and you still win golf tournaments that because it's about how bad your bad golf is. And if you play really well, your bad golf is still pretty solid. But
that's interesting.
I haven't had that many weeks where I go, okay, I'm firing on all cylinders. I'd say like my win at Olympia Fields was really good. I didn't make that many putts the first few rounds. And then finally, when I started making putts, I shot a really low score. You know, FedEx Cup playoff, a Tour Championship the next week was one of those weeks where I felt like I played close to flawless golf for me. But yeah, I've been a pro now for 7 years. I mean, those weeks don't come by very often.
And just
lesson of the day: be so good that even your bad performances can win you tournaments. That's crazy.
Very quickly on what David was talking about the football. You obviously are aware of the rivalry with Scotland and England. You might have 30,000 people doing their own boat with you on
Love
Sunday
it.
morning.
Let's do it on Sunday. That'd be great. First tee, we're doing a rowing if we beat England.
Nice.
I'm going to go to Brian, please.
Does the Tartan Army support
Hi,
him?
Victor. We're only 14 months away from another Ryder Cup, which is remarkable given it's, the memories of last year are still very vivid, in everybody's mind. What does it mean, do you think, to have the likes of John Ram and Tyrrell back in the DP World Tour again and playing the events to try and ensure that there is as strong a European team as can be to go to Adair Manor next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable. They're a huge force for our team, and to have them back playing these events is awesome. We've missed them, and you would unless something crazy happens, you would think they're going to be on that team next year. So they add a lot, not just on the golf course, but in the team room. They're great leaders, good personalities, and then just bring good vibes in the team room. And obviously we've been teammates now for the last 3 Ryder Cups, and I feel like that bond just kind of increases every single time. So they seem to be playing good golf. So it should be an exciting week this week, and hopefully we can all peak at the right time next year.
John was sitting in that seat exactly where you are just half an hour ago, and he was talking about how this week and next week it feels like back-to-back majors, given the strength of the field here this week. Is that similar to how you feel? Because it is such a strong and elite field again.
It really is, and Scottish Open has a lot of history. It's been great champions here that have won this tournament, and we all really want to win this event and the next week as well. Obviously, next week is the big one, but to reiterate John's point, this does feel like 2 really big events back to back, and there's also another excitement, coming to play links golf. I think it's one of the most fun ways to play golf. So anytime you get to do that in a tournament, I think adds another element to it.
And you know what's the best part is that if you win when other genius players are playing, that gives you even more of even more value. Because I never like it when, some players or some teams win over weaker opponents. Because okay, you won the tournament, but, or like boxers. Some boxers are undisputed, but they have never even challenged themselves because they're just fighting weaker opponents. So when you have great tournaments with great players, with historic moments, and you're still on top, now that's gratifying. That's satisfying.
I'm going to go over to Bob, please.
Your most previous win before the Travelers was the Valspar, and I would guess that you would say that was a week where you won despite not maybe having what you would have preferred, the best in your game. I think you were coming off a tough week at the Players the week before. From the outside, people would maybe say, why is that not good enough to just take what you had there and go with it? Why not be satisfied with that, especially even in a winning effort?
That's a great question. It's a pretty profound question, because I never, when I was younger, I was never the best at any stage. I had to work, I had to improve to kind of become the best junior player in Norway. And then when I got to Oklahoma State, I wasn't the best player on the team. I had to qualify, make my lineup, and then I eventually got to a point where I was one of the best college players. I got to #1 in the amateur world rankings.
Work
You
your
turn
way
pro,
up.
You're not the best pro in the world. I got to a point where I was #3 in the world. So you have to have that mindset if you want to get better. I can win a tournament and go, I won a tournament. I'm pretty good at this game, which I am, but I want to win more. And you have to be honest with yourself and go, well, I missed 3 cuts leading up to that event. Do you just not think about that and just go, oh, well, I won. Everything's good. Everything's all right. And there is this. It's very interesting because obviously placebo is a psychological phenomenon, and your mindset is extremely important. And you have guys that are maybe delusional on the side where they overestimate their capabilities or their skill set, and they're the ones that get maximum. They squeeze all the juice out of what they have. Versus I'm just wiring the complete opposite direction. I want to be able to play at such a high level to where, I don't have to be delusional in my capabilities and still perform at a really high level. But you're in this in-between phase where, and this is something that I've had to learn for myself, is that, okay, it's not perfect. I
But
want
it's
it to
good
be
enough.
better, but it's good enough. And
Nice.
that's when, at a certain time, you have to believe as well.
Du bist gut genug.
And just not focus too much on the bad shots and just see the good shots and perform as well as you can with the things that you've got. And I feel like that's what I did at the Valspar. That's what I did at Travelers. When I'm in that position, I really do a great job of that. I just need to do a better job of that week in and week out.
So the moral of the story here is be consistent. Don't try to fly too close to the sun. Make sure that your normal altitude is already close to the sun. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like an elastic band. You don't stretch it more than it can be stretched. So make sure your standard, your normal, is good enough to win. That's what I got out of this. Make sure that your standard, that your consistency is good enough to win tournaments, to be a high performing athlete. The thing is, when people stretch themselves too thin, they burn out, they crash and burn. So make sure that you work for your standards to be good enough. Not your peak, but your normal. Obviously, sometimes you can push and go to your peak, but make sure that your normal is good enough. That's great mentality. That's strong. That is strong. You are only as good as your weakest link. Have you ever heard that? So make sure your weakest link is better than all the others.
If I could just follow on a different tack, but it's a lot of success since the 2022 Open at St. Andrews. But is there anything you still take from that final round that you've learned from, or that is still with you, or is that just too far in the past that it's far gone?
Yeah, I mean, that was a good experience for me, being in the last group there with Rory, arguably the most prestigious major at St. Andrews. It doesn't get much higher than that. You can argue about which one is the most sought after, but it's hard to argue with that one. And it was disappointing not performing as well as I would have liked. But I similar to kind of losing the PGA in 23, I felt like I used that as fuel and learned a lot and was able to win Memorial just a little bit later, and then had my run at the FedEx Cup later that year. So, you're gonna win some and you're gonna lose some, and I think in that position, it's when you haven't been there very much, it's easy to just you play a little bit scared. You're just not as comfortable. You're not as relaxed and just trusting your shot shape and going for the shots that you have to go for. And if you play a little bit more timid, which is understandable in a major championship, it's harder to perform your best. And I feel like now I do a way better job of, when I'm in that position, I go for it. I don't try to protect the lead or be afraid to hit a bad shot. You just have to go through your process and just try to execute.
As if it's just another day, right? Just another day in training. Guys, this was a great interview. It wasn't simply an interview. It was a TED Talk. And I want to give props to the reporters. There were no stupid questions. The reason he was able to answer those insightful, give those insightful answers was because the questions were good to begin with as well. So shout out to the reporters for giving great questions, and shout out to Viktor for just sharing some knowledge, sharing the knowledge, and it's very inspirational. So he knows what he has been through, he knows how he has prepared for this, and that's why he has the answers, because he took time to reflect, to invest in his psyche, in his game plan, to admit his errors, to find solutions. And that's why we have such a great interview. A TED Talk, in fact. Thank you, Whiplash, for sharing this with us. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's go support Viktor, especially the Tartan army, and especially the Norwegians. Ro. Okay, guys. With that said, join our community on Discord. Link is in the description, or go over to Buy Me Coffee to request a video like Whiplash did. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.